In this tutorial video, I'm going to show you how to double down on the effects you add to your comp. So this is a preview of what this project is going to look like. Notice that when you watch this animation, there are two different spotlights from two different light sources going in two different directions simultaneously. This is the exact same effect, but it's added twice to this particular text layer. So let's go ahead and create a new composition. And I want it to be about 6 seconds background color, and I'll call this Spotlight New and click OK. All right, so for this Spotlight New, I'm going to go ahead and add my text, and I'll call this Spotlight. That looks pretty good to me, and I'll change it to a gold color. Oops, I should have highlighted it first. Okay, so once I have that done, I have the caps lock on, so it's going to tell me that you can't see the refreshed preview. So just make sure to take the caps lock off anytime you see that warning message. So now we have the text spotlight. We can go ahead to our effects and presets and clear out the previous search, and we can search for Spotlight. So there's CC Spotlight. And as you can see, the minute you apply it, it's going to create this kind of round spotlight. Now, what are we seeing here? We have a couple of effects, the from and to. The from is your light source, and this is the light source target up here. The to is where that spotlight is going to move to, and that's the target down here. Or maybe not right there, it's actually right here. So if I click on this target in the comp window, you can see that I actually can swing that light wherever I need it to go. I can also change where the light source is from. So if I wanted it to be from the very top, I can then swing it that way. So I can move it from the bottom. I can do whatever I need to do for this particular comp. So I'm going to undo all that, and I like it from the side. So what's left to me to do is just kind of figure out what does height mean. And right now I'm not really seeing any change, so I like to move it. There we go. So if I do the height like this, see how it's getting a little bit more elongated and instead of a spot. And then we can say what the cone angle is so we can focus it. It looks like we can focus it a little bit more. And we can mess with, let's do the softness. So that's probably the edges of that cone light. So we can get really harsh or we can get really soft. I kind of like it soft. And maybe we can change what color it's highlighting. And it looks like it's not letting me change that, and that's fine. So we can change the intensity, where how much you see. So if you just want it to look like a little bit of color is hitting that, or if you want it to be kind of that creepy vibe where you only see what's in the spotlight, you absolutely can. So just remember those settings for later, because when we double up on these, we're probably going to have to change the intensity. So we can also see these different options, and right now they don't look like they're doing anything for me, but it's a good idea to just play around with them and see what you got. So we like the light shadow, and it works just fine for us. So this looks pretty good to me. And now it's just left to me to actually animate it. So I'm going to go ahead and toggle down here the effect spotlight, and I'm going to change some of these keyframes. So at the very beginning, I want the spotlight to be off. So let's go ahead and move it up here, and I'll go ahead and hit the stopwatch on the to effect. So halfway in, I want it to kind of swing past the text, and then about 6 seconds at the end of my animation, I want it to swing back. So if we watch this, we'll go ahead and hit spacebar to play a preview, and we'll watch it move through. And it looks pretty darn good. So what I need to do now is I actually need to double this effect. Now, it's a good idea to actually duplicate this effect and not just double click over here. If I double click over here, it will add a second spotlight, but notice that the height and the cone angle and all of that stuff doesn't match. It's that rounded, softer version that it first had these settings for. So instead, if I click up here on this second version and delete this, I can duplicate this version that has all of my kind of other settings. I just need to change the to and the from. So I'll go ahead and click on the CC spotlight and do Command or Control D to duplicate that spotlight. Now, as you can see, it gets really intense, really bright where it hits, and really, really dark where it doesn't. And it has the exact same keyframes. So it's like we're doubling up on that one spotlight. And that's not what we want to have happen. So for this CC Spotlight 2, I'm going to come down here and delete all of these keyframes related to that. Notice that when you toggle down and you're looking at the keyframes for this particular effect, they're little diamonds. These little circles are for CC Spotlight 1. Don't delete those. Those are just showing so that you can kind of line these up with them later. So I'll go ahead and delete all of those. And what do we want to do with this particular spotlight? Well, with this particular spotlight, we want to actually uncheck the 2 for a second. And, oops, I think I was on the wrong spotlight. So I want to be on this spotlight. Okay. So from here, I want to change the source, and let's see. See, there's the source because we can see the little spike, and we want to swing it this way. There we go. And I want my source to be over here, and I want to be able to swing it from the top down and back again. So I'm going to put that control there. So make sure to toggle the animation for Spotlight 2, and once it does, it'll add a keyframe at the 2 point. So I'll come back here and swing it this way. There we go. So now it's going to swing down, and then I can line these up and then come back over here, and I want this 2 point to come back this way. So if we watch this again, they're going to swing from opposite directions across and then come back. So Spotlight right now is really dark. Let's get it to about this point where we kind of see where their individual light sources, and then we have where they're combined, and then we have kind of down here where it has no light at all. So this is for each of them. We can come in here and change the intensity. So let's bring it a little bit lower. So it just is showing a shine on it. So now let's watch that. All right, so that's much better. So you can take the same effect and put it on one text file. You just have to be able to duplicate it once you've created the one, kind of the one you want to work from, and then make sure to change the keyframes so that you've got the second part of your animation moving right. So in this instance, I might actually have these kind of stagger in their timing, and I don't want this one to start so early. So I can have this one maybe stagger this way and have it stagger this way. There we go, and pull that. So it gets a little bit more, I guess, not so perfectly timed together. Okay, so that looks pretty good to me. So when you're creating your animations, just know that you can add multiple effects, whether they're different or the exact same effect, and that you can duplicate those and then just manipulate the different keyframes or effects to do it from different sides or whatever.